I started racing Ironman in 2018. I won my first 3 Ironman races in the span of a year, and suddenly Kona was front and center. I feel like the Ironman World Championship has this gravitational pull, and when I end up back there, it's going to be for my own intrinsic reasons and not these external reasons from other people.
This is Quest for the Ironman World Championship, brought to you by Gatorade Endurance, formulated for farther. The Ironman World Championship has been held annually in Hawaii since 1978. After being contested on the Big Island in 2019, the race was put on hold due to the COVID pandemic. When it seemed unlikely that the event could be staged in Hawaii, the 2021 edition was moved to St. George, Utah. Scheduled for May of 2022, the World Championship found a fitting stage in St. George, which is known as the land of endurance. Canadian pro Cody Beals has been all in on qualifying for the Ironman World Championship, but despite several attempts, he is still searching for one of the coveted pro spots. Ironman Coeur represents his 4th and final chance to make it to Worlds.
Hey, I'm Cody Beals, and I'm a professional triathlete from Guelph, Canada. My triathlon career started, I guess, when I was 16 with a local super sprint race that was only about 10 kilometers from here in Bellwood. But I didn't get my start Ironman racing and Ironman 70.3 racing until much later in my 20s. Kona was on my radar almost immediately getting into the sport, like most people. The first time I was there in 2019, the one and only time so far, I qualified and it felt like the right thing to do, but Kona had always been like a more distant long-term plan. And suddenly I was just smacked with this reality of like, I'm in Kona, I've just won my first 3 Ironmans, I'm expected to perform, I'm being talked about in the same breath as some of the podium contenders. And I just was not there for the right reasons.
Cody would be forced to withdraw during the bike at the Ironman World Championship in Kona. Beals exploded into the top rankings among the professional men in 2019, but the pressures of Kona, injury, and challenges associated with COVID-19 have seen Beals' career take a step back. But his drive to get back to the Ironman World Championship remains.
People see professional triathletes just like jet setting around the world to beautiful places and racing. The reality I've come to realize is far less glamorous in some respects. Like my job to a large extent is about managing fatigue and managing pain and constantly managing my physical and mental state. That's not to say I don't love it. Some days are super challenging for sure. But one thing I've really grown to appreciate about it is just that every day is a little bit different and it's constantly throwing new challenges at me. So I really dig the business side of it, dealing with sponsors and self-representing, planning all my travel. Training at this level takes so much time and energy, it's extremely draining. And I wonder what else I could be doing with that time. There's a lot of other things I want to accomplish in life besides swimming, biking, and running really fast.
Meet Bean, Cody and his partner James's pride and joy. The 3 of them share their historic home in Guelph, Ontario, a small Canadian city west of Toronto. Between renovating their home, pursuing their respective careers, and everything else, not to mention time with their cat, life is busy with much more than triathlon.
The fact that James isn't just like a fanboy in my life, like he expresses a polite amount of interest in my triathlon career, but you know, after a good day or a bad day on the race course or even just a workout, I could go on and on, like regaling him with the blow-by-blow, but he kind of caps it at 5 minutes and we get on with our days. And that's really grounding to not have someone who's just encouraging having the rest of my life be so encompassed by triathlon, because it is such an all-encompassing career. So James makes sure that at least 10% of my day isn't all in on triathlon.
I gotta keep you humble too. You're getting all these awards.
Yeah, not lately. She teaches me to be still, which is something I've struggled with a lot. To hit that off switch when your work's done for the day and just rest deeply, take your mind off triathlon, So she's been a really wonderful distraction in that way. Oh, those 2 Ironman Multi Ball wins really made my career. They kind of like catapulted me to the next level, I think. Especially racing Lyle Sanders there. He's an athlete. It'd be generous to call it a rivalry, but we've battled a lot over the years, and those are pretty much the only occasions I've beaten him on. So it was a big deal for me. And also in 2018, it was my first Ironman ever as well. So I wanted to make a bang there. Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of tough days during the pandemic, for sure. Like I've been pretty open about the fact my motivation has really flagged during the last couple years. I would have told you, like, you don't need a steady stream of results and external gratification to remain committed to the sport. But the last couple years definitely tested that. You know, with racing removed, it was like, why am I doing this again exactly? There were reasons there, but I had to reacquaint myself with those, and there were some down days and weeks and even months over the past couple years as a result.
And I don't know if it's always the incentive so much as it's the community and the feeling of being part of something as well. Just to be sort of removed and isolated from all of it. I think that can take a hit on the deeper level of why you do what you do.
Cody and fellow Canadian pro Rach McBride met up at IRONMAN Coeur where Beals has once again set his sights on qualifying for the Ironman World Championship. It has been a quest with more than its fair share of disappointments. At Ironman Florida, Beals finished 5th. He missed qualifying by 1 slot. He improved to 4th at Ironman Chattanooga, but again missed qualifying by 1 slot. Then it was off to Ironman Texas, another 4th. And hard to believe, once more he missed by 1 spot. So the mission remains: get that qualifying slot to the Ironman World Championship.
Hey, my pleasure. Good luck. I've always drawn a lot of confidence from being the kind of athlete that can bring something really special on race day, like beyond anything my training would suggest. So I've trained with lots of guys and women who are just absolute heroes in training, and their race performances pale in comparison. Final day. Hello. How's it going? I'm like the opposite of that. You train with me day in, day out, and it's pretty unremarkable. But I feel like I can bring something special on an Ironman course. So now I'm here, I have no excuses, I'm fit, I'm healthy, and I think racing from a place of gratitude is just about the best emotion you can carry forward onto race day.
Good luck on Sunday, man.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Yeah.
A successful race is a podium and a qualification slot. Hitting the ball out of the park is the win.
Up first for Beals and all the competitors, a 2-loop swim in beautiful Lake Coeur d'Alene. With water temperatures in the mid to high 60s and typically smooth water, conditions are ideal for fast times.
The day before the race, I felt this tickle in my throat, and I just really hoped for the best, but by race morning, I was just a disaster. And I wasn't even sure if it was a good idea to start the race.
Cody exited the water at a time of 52:05, 3rd overall, well positioned, but with his work cut out for him.
I got the transition, and as you could predict, the crowd energy, having the dock team in my face with the camera, there was no way I would be permitting myself to step off the course at that moment.
The bike course consists of 2 56-mile loops. The first section is fast, but the rolling hills to the south of town make it a challenging endeavor.
I did make my way to the front of the race for a pretty miserable half an hour, and my thinking at that point was, well, this day is going really far south, so the least I can salvage is a bit of airtime on the Ironman Facebook Now live broadcast at the front of the race to showcase some sponsors. But if I looked in control at that point, I certainly was not. I was knowing at that point the race was already going to be a really, really tough day.
It is said that there is nowhere to hide in an Ironman. Any weakness will be exposed. For Cody Beals well into the bike, it becomes clear that there is just too much to overcome. He has fallen well out of contention, not just for the win, but for one of the 3 qualifying spots to the 2021 Intermountain Healthcare Ironman World Championship. By the time the bike comes to an end, Beals is 10th, and his goal of returning to the World Championship today seems out of reach.
My first 3 Ironmans, I didn't appreciate at the time. They were like a dream. Yeah, I won all 3 of them, and there's no such thing as an easy win, but everything went as close to perfectly as is realistic in an Ironman. The next 3 Ironmans just like slapped me in the face, and they were such a wake-up call about what a brutal reality Ironman can be sometimes.
The run course is 3 loops, with a good mix of running in the lakeside residential areas in Coeur d'Alene and along Lake Drive. This slightly rolling course will be lined with the history of many years of racing, ending with its iconic downtown finish.
Stepping out on that run course, I just did not want to be there. There's a moment when you're racing Ironmans where you're like, just don't look at me, this is too private, I don't want to be seen like this, and especially having the camera in my face, it's not a good feeling. But at the same time, it holds you accountable. And so I kind of mentally reset, which I've done every time I've hit T2 in an Ironman, and pretended it's like a fresh start.
Despite moving up 4 positions, Beals would finish 6th, this time coming up 3 places short for one of today's qualifying spots.
That was mentally and physically the toughest Ironman in my entire career, toughest race effort I've ever done. I was super confident on Friday, and I've never seen my level of confidence go so far south 24 hours leading up to a race. I woke up Saturday morning with a sore throat. It got worse over the course of the day, and I didn't sleep a wink last night. I felt like I sweat out every drop of water in my body, just tossing and turning, all feverish.
So on one hand, I'm kind of grudgingly proud of what I was able to accomplish there, but on the other hand, it was a failure by every metric I set out to prove. So why fight it? Next time I'm at the Ironman World Championship, I don't want it to be an afterthought. I don't want it to be a low priority in the season. I want to be there to contend for at least a top 10 finish. And this year it was not coming together, so it was the right call for me this year.